The HOA president smiled coldly as she handed me the eviction notice. You have 24 hours to leave your grandfather's cabin forever. She thought she'd won. But she had no idea I'd just discovered the shocking secret that would let me evict her instead. The tables were about to turn completely. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching, also like and subscribe for more stories. My name is Sarah, and I need to tell you about the most satisfying revenge I've ever experienced. It all started with a simple cabin that changed my entire life. 2 years ago, I inherited my grandfather's old cabin in Pine Valley. This wasn't just any cabin. It was a beautiful log structure sitting on 5 acres of pristine forest land. My grandfather had built it with his own hands in 1965, long before any neighborhood existed around it. I was going through a difficult divorce at the time. My ex-husband had taken almost everything, and I was starting over at 45 with barely any savings. The cabin felt like a gift from heaven. I quit my stressful city job, moved in, and started a small online business selling handmade crafts. For the first time in years, I was happy. I'd wake up to birds singing, spend my days working on the porch, and fall asleep to the sound of wind through the trees. It was pure peace. That peace shattered on a Tuesday morning when 3 people in expensive suits knocked on my door. They introduced themselves as the Pine Valley Homeowners Association Board. "Ma'am, we need to discuss your property," said Margaret, a woman with perfectly styled gray hair and cold eyes. "Your cabin violates several HOA regulations." I was confused. What HOA? My grandfather never mentioned any homeowners association. The HOA was established 3 years ago when the Pine Valley Estates development was built, explained Robert, a tall man with a clipboard. "All properties in this area are now subject to our rules." "But I was never notified," I protested. "Ignorance of the rules doesn't excuse violations," Margaret snapped. "Your cabin is an eyesore. The logs are weathered, you have no proper landscaping, and that vegetable garden is completely against regulations." They handed me a thick packet of violations. My cabin needed to be painted beige or white. I had to remove my vegetable garden and install approved shrubs. The wooden fence my grandfather built had to be replaced with HOA-approved materials. The estimated cost? Over $50,000. "You have 30 days to comply or face daily fines of $200, Robert said. I couldn't afford these changes. I explained my situation, hoping for some compassion, but Margaret just smiled coldly. "If you can't maintain proper standards, perhaps you shouldn't live here," she said. I researched HOA laws and discovered something shocking. When the development was built, the HOA had somehow managed to include my grandfather's land in their jurisdiction through a legal loophole. They had filed paperwork claiming abandoned property, even though my grandfather was still alive at the time and paying taxes. I hired a lawyer, but he said fighting it would cost more than I had. Meanwhile, the 30 days passed quickly and I couldn't make the required changes. On day 31, Margaret returned with 2 security guards and an eviction notice. "You have 24 hours to vacate the premises," she announced triumphantly. "The HOA is exercising its right to remove non-compliant residents." "This is my home," I shouted. "My grandfather built this cabin." "Not anymore," Margaret replied. "The property will be demolished, and we'll sell the land to a developer who understands proper community standards." I was devastated. That night I sat on my porch, crying and wondering where I would go. But then something inside me snapped. They wanted to play hardball? Fine. I could play too. Instead of packing, I spent the night researching. I discovered that Margaret lived in the biggest house in Pine Valley Estates, a 6,000 square foot mansion worth over $800,000. More importantly, I learned something incredible about the HOA itself. The Pine Valley HOA was in serious financial trouble. They had overspent on landscaping and a community center, and they owed over $300,000 in various debts. They were basically bankrupt but hiding it from residents. But here's the twist that changed everything. I discovered that my grandfather's property wasn't the only land they had illegally claimed. They had absorbed several other parcels through the same legal loophole, and these parcels included the land that the HOA office building sat on. The next morning, when Margaret arrived with a moving truck to evict me, I was ready. "I'm not leaving," I announced calmly. "You have no choice," Margaret said. "Security, remove her belongings." "Actually, I do have a choice," I replied, pulling out a folder. "I've been doing some research about property ownership in this area." Margaret's confident smile faltered slightly. "Did you know that the HOA never actually owned the land your office building sits on? Just like my property, you claimed it through fraudulent paperwork." And did you know that the rightful owner of that land died last year and left it to me? I handed her a legal document. My grandfather, it turned out, had been close friends with several old-timers in the area. One of them, knowing about the HOA's illegal land grabs, had left me his property in his will specifically to fight back. Margaret's face went white as she read the papers. "This can't be legal," she stammered. "Oh, it's completely legal," I said. "Just like your eviction notice was supposedly legal. The difference is mine is actually legitimate." I explained that I now owned the land under the HOA office, the community center, and several other key buildings. And unlike them, I had actual legal ownership. "You have 24 hours to vacate my property," I announced, handing her an eviction notice. "All HOA operations must cease immediately." Margaret tried to argue, but my lawyer, yes, I had found a better one, arrived and confirmed everything. The HOA's financial troubles meant they couldn't fight a lengthy legal battle. They had no choice but to comply. Within a week, the HOA office was empty. Margaret had to sell her mansion to pay off debts. Robert moved out of the neighborhood entirely. The remaining board members resigned in disgrace. But I wasn't done yet. I could have sold the land back to the community for a huge profit, but I had a better idea. I donated the land to the county with one condition. It had to become a public park dedicated to preserving the area's natural beauty. The Pine Valley Community Park now sits where the HOA office used to be. There's a plaque that reads, "Dedicated to protecting homes and communities from those who would destroy them." As for my cabin, it's still here, weathered logs and all. My vegetable garden is bigger than ever, and I've never been happier. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's making sure the bullies can never hurt anyone else again. Margaret tried to sue me twice, but both cases were thrown out. She now lives in a small apartment across town and has to drive past my beautiful cabin every day on her way to work at a discount store. The neighborhood is peaceful now. New residents love the park and everyone respects each other's property. Sometimes I wave at Margaret when she drives by. She never waves back, but that's okay. Justice, as they say, is sweeter than revenge.